how exactly are movies in regards to streaming being reviewed and everything like that? Like, is it harder for these companies that do award shows and stuff like that to recognize which are the like films that deserve these awards, because there's so much out there and there is so many different streaming platforms and things like that? Are some films being, or shows being, left on the wayside because of that?
I would say probably we can see both things happening. And it is always also depending on what award show you're talking about, because a lot of the times, so one thing is film festivals and the process of applying to them and being considered for them hasn't changed that much. Again, the difference is just the amount, the sheer number of available titles, right? But then there are award shows that are very political in how they run. And something that we were surprised to learn is how much having a title in the running is pretty much like a political campaign. Like, you have to have a PR person that is dedicated, that has experience with award shows and awards in general, because it's a very different kind of promotion. And how, even just how to get your film to be seen by the people that have the decision power is such a very specific journey, and it requires specialized people. So I mean, of course there are the Cinderella stories, right? The one project that gets such buzz on the internet, because then let's not forget that the arrival of the internet also changed the scenery for everything, right? So all of a sudden, the audience has more pull than ever before, just because of how many eyes we have on any number of projects at any given time. And so if something creates a huge buzz on the internet, then by word of mouth and by the ripple effect of that exposure, can get in front of the eyes that will then make these titles go the distance. But that is not the norm. Like, that is not how the standardized process of award shows consideration works, which is fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching a documentary recently about how the Oscars and everything like that actually work. And I was like, oh, well, I'm glad I'm not really the biggest fan of the Oscars because
Yeah.
like, and the girl that was doing it, she was like, for your consideration, for your consideration. She's like, it has nothing to do about our consideration. It's about the Oscar panel, basically, who are some panel of an actors journalist guild that do their own thing, basically. And it's like a lot of these, I was learning, Harry, or not Harry, Harvey Weinstein would go to retirement homes, to people that couldn't even feed themselves, and be like, here, we want your vote, watch my movie. Like, he was ruthless with the way that he would go and get his votes for these movies. So that's what I was kind of curious about too, is I noticed that a lot of big directors are getting into streaming, like
Yes.
into the streaming platforms. That they have to. If they don't, they're going to fall to the wayside, right? So I was wondering if that's actually, and you answered me right from the get-go that, it was a great market for the new upcoming producers, people that had small budgets, but the big fish, the sharks, got into the tank and they've taken it over, right? Which is great for, TV viewers like us at home. We get access
Yes.
to real quality films for a
Yes.
fraction of the price that we usually would. But at the same time, it is taking away from the indie films, probably,
Yes.
because even through Netflix is going to advertise, or whatever streaming service, I don't want to throw names out there, but whatever streaming service your film or project is being like hosted on, I guess, or produced by, they're obviously going to boost the bigger budget film more than the small guys. Because
Absolutely.
I've been on, certain streaming platforms and found just gems, and I'm like, what is this? This is way better than the other things people are trying to tell me to watch. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How do you think that we as viewers or even as indie filmmakers could combat that? Is there any way of combating that, or you just have to get more money?
I don't know. I wish we knew, because then we would be already on set with the next thing.
Fair enough.
Well, as a viewership, the quality has gone up so much, right? Like now that you have movie stars doing television, and a lot of series are shot as an 8-10 hour film, and then they're chopped into 45 minutes to an hour episodes, and they're called the mini series or the limited series, right? And so the quality of that content has gone up so much that now it's not just the realm or the domain of HBO that produces phenomenal content, right? Because we always did like, okay, so there's the lower end of quality television and HBO, and that was going to be like the high end show you were going to see. And now you can find very, very good shows pretty much anywhere. And HBO has, found, well, finally they have very valid competition. So as viewership it has gone up. The quality of what we consume is incredible. Now, the thing that has changed as an audience is also the introduction of binge watching, right? We didn't used to do that before. Like, even if you set up your PVR, you would still have to fast forward through the commercials, and there were only so many episodes you were going to tolerate that thing through, right? But then we discovered, like, we came to have the availability of binge watching, and that changed the way we consume as well. So I think it has so many layers, the whole conversation, that I don't know that there is a particular recipe for fixing the curve or the direction we're going into. I think it's just something that it will have to find another balance. Like when and if we want to go historical on this, like when TV was invented, people were like, oh, films are dead now, which it never happened, right? Or the same as, when vinyl was replaced by first the CD and then MP3s. So, and then we're like, okay, vinyl is now dead and it's coming back. So I think it's something that will have to find a new balance and a new almost like a new discourse and a new dialogue, a new feeding cycle between the creators of content, the consumers, and then how the revenue will feed into one another. But I also think that some old ways of the entertainment business, they're going to be very hard to break. Very hard to break. Yeah.
Of course, old habit. You know what? And I'd be surprised if some of those habits ever die,
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Another question I have is, and this is my last question. I'm sure Cassandra probably has a couple. But excuse me. So when being prepared for the award shows, how do streaming services get their shows even nominated?
Like any other studio or network.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
That process has not changed. Now there are more players on the field.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that it is an even playing field, they have the opportunity to be treated just the same as any other place. That's
Right.
fantastic.
That's
Okay.
right.
That was
right.
my last question. Off to you, Cassie.
Yeah. So because you said nothing has changed, so is it kind of like TV? Is it like how many people are watching something in order to be able to figure out which one is the best top 5 movies then? I wasn't for sure if they still have it like that.
It's so interesting because viewership Okay, so there are two factors in terms of the consumption of something, right? Where viewership plays a role, and that is box office and then ratings.